Failed a test today. Hi guys, it's Caitlin, and today I am here to talk to you about episode 7 of Shadowhunters on Freeform. Once again, I forgot to look at what the title of the episode was, but it's right there now in case you want to know and you didn't know either. This was my favorite episode so far. I really enjoyed it. A lot of the issues I'd been having were resolved. The ones that were still around weren't as bad as I think they've been, and I really liked it. I thought that the pacing was good, the story plot behind the episode was good, all the characters had chemistry. Like, there were some weird moments, a couple of minutes of bad acting and just weird interactions, but overall I really liked this episode, and for the first time I am able to say I give this episode an A. I loved Clary in this episode. I loved Jace in this episode. Dominic Sherwood's acting is finally on point. Clary and Jace finally have some chemistry. Jace is funny. Alec is funny. We get some great Izzy Alec moments. We get some great Clary Jace moments. We get some really great Simon moments. Simon is by himself this whole episode, but there is so much going on with him. I really enjoyed this episode, and that makes me really happy to be able to say that. So this episode starts right after the last episode ended, where Clary has just realized that she knows where the Mortal Cup is because she accidentally pushed the JC box into that piece of paper. And that's when Luke comes out and is able to tell them that he actually has the tarot cards that are hiding the Mortal Cup, and they're back at the police department in his desk, and they need to go get them. Luke is brought in for questioning by Internal Affairs because he's being linked to a series of murders. A shapeshifter comes in, all these demons start coming in because they see that Jace and Clary are there, which means that they know that there must be something linking them to the Mortal Cup because everybody's after Clary. Simon is going through this huge emotional thing because he's starting to realize that he's turning into a vampire. Clary and Jace manage to get a hold of the tarot card with the Mortal Cup in it. She figures out how to get the Mortal Cup out of the card, and then Simon goes to Hotel du Mort to try to figure out what's going on with him, and the episode ends with him being attacked by Camille. I can't read my own writing. These notes are useless to me. So as usual, I'm just going to go into my personal opinions about just moments in the episode from start to finish in order of how they occurred. So the episode, like I said, starts with Clary kind of announcing to Alec and Jace that she knows where the Mortal Cup is, and that moment was a little weird to me because it's like she has her back turned to them and she says it, and then she spins around, and I was just like, you walked into the room to tell them this, and then you turned your back on them. Catherine McNamara, please, just when there's moments like that, just be like, hey guys, like, I know this was written into the script, but it's stupid. Why would you do that? Like, that's so weird. That's so weird. I'm here to give you my review for Shadowhunters episode 7. And for some reason in this episode, Simon and Maureen slept together. Simon wakes up cuddling her in bed, and they start having this talk, and she's like, oh, you were amazing last night, and he goes, 50 Shades of Amazing? Let's leave 50 Shades of Grey out of this. Very out of this. Ew. All of a sudden, he starts seeing Maureen as Clary, and she's saying, oh, you know, I want you, I want to be with you. I'm sorry, like, I don't have a problem with Kat McNamara's acting. I think she's fine, but her sultry voice is so weird. She's trying so hard. So, Simon, what do you think, Simon? Yeah, is that what you want? Stop it! I feel like that scene was really weird. It was unnecessary. It's just weird. I still give it an A, but the moments that were in it that were bad weren't bad because the special effects were stupid or the acting was bad. It's because it was weird. Like, so weird. Clary reveals the location of the Mortal Cup. Luke's like, I have the cards, you know, they're in my desk at the department. And then he takes Jace and Clary there and leaves them in the parking lot because they can't be seen, and he doesn't know, you know, who the spies are, who can see through glamours in the department, so it's just safer if they're not there. And then when he gets in there, that's when he's kind of taken away by Internal Affairs, and everything in his desk is just boxed up and put into the evidence room. You know, Jace and Clary are waiting in the parking lot. They don't know what's happened to him. Clary's sitting there going, no, I'm sure he's fine. He's just taking a couple of other minutes. And then Jace sees him up on, like, this glass catwalk being, like, walked a bit away by Internal Affairs, and apparently he has, like, these robotic hawk eyes, like that's what a rune does, because it's just like, whoop. And like it shows it shifting, and then it like zooms in on the IA guy's badges. So that's how he's like, he's being taken away by internal affairs. There's a rune that gives you robot eyes. It's like magnetic hawk eyes. Like that's an impressive rune. That's very, very impressive. So that's kind of the moment that Jason Clary kind of realized we have to take this upon ourselves. We have to get into the department ourselves and just go and get into Luke's desk and get the cards, because that's the only way we're going to have access to the cup, because we don't know how long he's going to be in there. And then we get what I think was the best scene of the episode. We finally have Clary Jace chemistry, and they decide that they need to create a diversion. And of course, Clary doesn't tell Jace that this diversion includes walking into the office area where Luke's desk is located with all the other cops and bitch slapping him across the face. She's like, psh, stop following me. I can't believe you cheated on me. I want nothing to do with you. Leave me alone. Like these cops like grab him, and she storms to Luke's desk, and they're making this huge scene. And Vargas comes out, and she tells Vargas, I'm just looking for Luke's key. This is my ex-boyfriend. And Vargas is like, this is the guy who you were talking about who's been giving you trouble? She's like, yeah. Oh my gosh, it was just so funny. Then Jace finally catches hold of the fact that, okay, this is the diversion. I only cheated on you once or twice. Okay, it only happened a few times, you know? Just give me another chance. And she's like, no. And then Vargas is like, you're gonna leave her alone. And it was like the best scene ever. But the entire time I was watching it, I was just like, yes, 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 yes. Like, this is what I needed. We finally have Jace not using his Batman voice. We finally have chemistry. We have him actually delivering funny lines in a humorous way. I was just so happy with this scene. I loved it so much. And then we jump to poor Simon, who's sitting at like this outdoor cafe with like 2 napkins. And the first napkin is, I'm turning into a vampire. And the second napkin is, I'm not turning into a vampire. And he has all these things listed on the I'm turning into a vampire list, and then nothing on the I'm not turning into a vampire list. And I'm just sitting there going, I mean, you're sitting outside in the sun right now. Wouldn't that be a mark in the not turning into a vampire category? And then like the waitress brings over like his French press of coffee, and she's like staring at him like he's a weirdo, and he's like, oh no, you know, it's research for a graphic novel I'm doing. I don't think I'm turning into a vampire. That would be crazy. And she's just like, okay. But you can tell she still thinks he's fucking nuts. And then I feel so bad because he calls Clary and he's like having this breakdown, and she's not even willing to listen to him. And she's just like, I can't talk right now, Simon, I can't talk. And he's like, no, it's an emergency. I think I'm sick. And she's like, oh, you'll be fine. Just stay off the internet. And then Jace takes her phone and hangs up. And that's one thing that is still bothering me. Like, Jace is so creepily controlling. Like, he was so much better at points in this episode, and then they gave him moments like that where he takes her cell phone out of her hand and away from her ear and hangs it up. And I'm just like, that's messed up. Like, don't be giving that to him. The real Jace would never do that. He'd let her make her own choices. Just stop making him into this shitty guy. Like, he's not. Just give him his moments to shine. If they just made every moment like those interactions where she made the diversion, like, that's how their interactions are, and that's just what I want it to be like all the time. And then of course the next scene we get with Simon is him going online and being convinced that he's dying. Right before Simon calls Clary, Jace and Clary are like walking out of the police department, and he's like, well, I'm just gonna bring Alec. Alec's never slapped me. And he is so butthurt the entire episode about that slap, and it was epic. And that's when they kind of meet up with Izzy and Alec, and he makes a comment about demon pox. I'm like, oh yeah, you're Will's descendant. It's obvious. The moments with Jace in this area are great, and then we get the creepy elevator scene where, you know, they sneak onto the elevator and then they push the emergency button, and it's just so weird and creepy, and their interactions are just bizarre. And they're like, okay, we're gonna crawl up the elevator shaft, but really they're just in there waiting for Alec and Izzy to do their part of the diversion. And oh my gosh, because Izzy's all serious now, she makes Alec do the diversion, and it's so epically horrible. Like, I was cringing, but like in a good way. It was so freaking funny. He's just like, okay, so we're gonna do a distraction, right? And she's like, yeah, you know, we do them all the time. And he's like, well, go. And she's like, I'm taking myself seriously now. You do the distraction. He's like, I've never done this before. She's like, oh, just try, you know, it'll be fine. So he walks up to this cop who's sitting at the information desk, and he's like, hey, Come here often? I work here. Poor Alec. He just is like, oh fuck. Like, I don't even know what to say. He's just like, I'm just looking for some information. And then he like knocks over her water bottle reaching for pamphlets, and he like flings the lady's ID badge, which kind of didn't make sense to me because like, why would she not have her ID tag like door entrance thing clipped to her lapel or to her shirt or whatever? Why would it just be sitting on her desk? That was just kind of a plot hole, but whatever. He flicks it and Izzy kind of walks past and grabs it. That's when we get that weird elevator scene with Jace and Clary, because it's just like, here, you can copy this rune for night vision. She's like, okay. And she's like trying to draw it on the back of her arm, and she's like, I can't do it. He's like, I'll do it. And then he like comes up and like presses up against her, and like it's like this awkward drawing thing. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, wouldn't it be easier to draw it on her if you're not like smashed up against her like a friggin' weirdo? And then when the lights go out, their night vision comes on. Their night vision is so bad. Like, it's so bad. Like, it's like cell phone quality night vision. Like, you know when you try to take like a Snapchat video and it's almost pitch black out, but you have like a light on across the room? You can just kind of blurrily see your face in it. It's just like that. I'm just like, this is so bad. Like, did they film this on a cell phone? Like, what is with this scene? Like, you should have made it epic. Like, actual, like, that green colored night vision, or maybe like heat sensing abilities, like where it's shades of like blue, white, and red. No, it's just like cell phone quality. Okay. And then they find the box with Luke's stuff in it. And, you know, Clary takes off the lid. She just keeps stopping to look at these photographs for like an extended period of time. And Jace is like, are you done? And she's like, okay. And she puts it down and she just picks up another one and stares at it for like half an hour. And then he's like, come on, we don't have all day. And she's like, okay. And so she dumps the box. There's like 10 things in the box and the cards were right on top. But she's like, let me just dump this out and make all this noise when I could have just grabbed it. Like, okay, Clary, like, I don't feel like you should really ever go on undercover investigations or secret missions ever again. And then she's like trying to grab it, but she's just like grabbing at it like, how do I get this out? I don't know what to do. And Jace is kind of a douche. Do you know how to get it out or not? Well, unless you think this gets things out of paper, I'm gonna go with no. And then, you know, they're like finally just like, okay, we give up. So she just takes the whole card and they go out into the parking lot to meet up with Izzy and Alec. And they're just kind of like, I know how to get it out in theory, but I don't actually know how to get it out right now. And then Alec is wearing that ruby necklace that senses demons, and it starts to flash. And she's like, there's demons near. It's like a flasher, like I'm pretty sure that if she turns it over, there's just like an on-off switch, and they just like, every time they want it to flash, they're like, okay, cutscene, turn it on. I had one for my dog. Like, I got it for free at one of those like pet seminar fair things. Like, they just had a booth with like those homemade posters. Don't feed your dog garlic or marijuana. Here's a flashing collar box. And then they start wandering off, and for some reason Clary's like, no guys, wait, and she just kind of stops in the parking lot, and there's this old woman standing there, and she bumps into her, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And the old woman, like, mouth opens because it's like a shapeshifter, and she's gonna eat Clary's face or something. Like, I don't really understand when they walk up to him, like, it's kind of like the Deinonychus? Oh, what's that dinosaur? The one in Jurassic Park that spits in the fat guy's face. You know, Dennis Nedry's face is the one that spits poison, paralyzing stuff into his face and then eats him later when he's trying to steal the dinosaur embryos. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. It's like, but like, they never actually do anything. I've never seen them spit anything. I've never seen them bite anything. They're just like, yeah. And then Jace walks back over and he's like, Grandma. And he sounds all happy about it. He's like, Grandma. And she turns around and he just like shanks her. I'm like, that's not how I treat my grandma. And then they're like trying to escape through the tunnels because there's like these demon hordes descending on them. Like, all these demons are coming out of cop cars and just appearing out of nowhere. And they're like, we should escape through the tunnels. I don't know where those tunnels came from, where they go, but that's the way they needed to go in that episode for some reason. And then, you know, they go out into this tunnel and Izzy's dog collar is flashing again. All these like scorpion, I think they're the Shax demons, the bloodhound demons, they start like dropping from the ceiling and like attacking them. And Jace and Izzy are like, no, you know, Clary, go back the way we came, come out through the end of the tunnel, we'll hold them off. And she like goes like 10 feet and then the demons like descend on her. And she's like, I don't know what to do. So she reaches into the cart and pulls out the cup and she just holds it out and the demons run away. And then she gets out to the area where Jace and Izzy just were and they're gone. It's like they didn't hold them off because the demons immediately caught up to her and they didn't even wait for her. They didn't go to chase the demons. They didn't go to try to protect her. They didn't go looking for her. They just left. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, she has the mortal cup and you just left her. You're like, oh fuck, I don't want to deal with these demons. Sorry, bye Felicia. Like, see you later, Clary, good luck. And then we get like Simon's mom and sister who they've just had the intervention with him where they think he's on drugs, like knocking on his door and they're like, Simon, we've got pasta. Simon, pasta. And he doesn't come to the door because he's not there and they don't know that. And they're like, I've never heard him be this quiet over pasta before. They open the door and his whole room is trashed. Like, we saw parts of it in previous scene where he's like destroying his mirror and like scattering things. But the whole room is a mess and they're just like, oh shit. And then we jump back to like that cavern area where Clary is because she went back the way she came looking for Jace and Izzy. And Jace walks up to her and he's like, oh, Clary, thank heavens you're okay. I was so worried. She's like, it's okay. I'm fine. I got the mortal cup. And he's like, great. Now give it to me. And she's like, what? He's like, just till we get back to the Institute. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she pulls out her seraph blade and stabs him. And he's like, Clary, what? And I, for a second, was like, I don't remember her actually stabbing him because I was like, it's a shapeshifter. And then he's just like, Clary, what? And she's like, and I'm like, whoa, I like this scene. I don't remember. She never stabbed him in the books, but I'm digging this. Like, is this going to cause like drama between them? And then he is a shapeshifter because he's like, rah! And so it was all good in the end, so that was fine. But I thought that scene was really, really good and really well done, and there was no Batman voice, which is probably how she knew it wasn't Jace. And so she makes it back to the Institute where Jace is just like, we need to mobilize our units, we need to go get her. And it's just like, it's been 15 minutes. You know, you wouldn't have had to mobilize your units, you wouldn't be stressed out right now, you just waited for her, or held off the Shax demons for like 2 minutes. She runs up to him and she's like, Jace, I got the cup, and I stabbed a shapeshifter demon that looked just like you. And he's like, well, how did you know that it wasn't me? And she's like, well, you know. And then they make out. And it's just a sudden make out. And I'm not gonna lie, when that make out session started, I was like this, what the fuck? Like, I literally screamed, what the fuck, at the TV, because that was weird. Like, what the fuck? It was just like so abrupt and just like face eating status. And poor Alec is just like looks and immediately walks away. And the episode ends with them making out. I really like this episode, even though I talked all this shit about it. I talk shit about everything though, so it's okay. Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Hit like if you liked my video. Hit subscribe if you really liked it. And I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye. Face eating status, that's a word.